Can't remember where is what?
Dave's cousin is a professor at Wapaton.
Oh, really?
Oh, right on the border.
Debbie knows Wapaton
Yeah.
well. Dave's,
Oh, really?
His cousin is a professor there.
Oh, at the school?
Mhm.
Oh, really?
But he's a consumer science.
Well, they got some really cool programs there, like.
Whose brother?
My husband,
Really?
his cousin.
Huh. What's his name?
Oogie. Dave's cousin.
Yes. Yep.
Dave's cousin.
So we'll see. We haven't decided yet, but that's probably where.
Well, and that's nice if you know people that have gone there that speak highly about the program, and to hear Joe talk about it
Yeah.
is big too.
Well, that's kind of one of the things that's, like, well, he's the one that right from the get-go, he's like, go check this race. You guys are like.
Erase.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, JJ. Good morning.
Good morning, you hear me?
We
Yep.
do.
Oh, great.
What are they doing that rodeo in? Oh, okay. Brook Park there.
Oh, I couldn't find it when it was going
Yeah.
on.
I don't know
Must
if
be
it's.
fairly soon in the summer.
Yeah, I
The
don't,
rodeo.
I
Is there
guess a
rodeo?
rodeo.
They're doing one up in
Brook-
Sandstone too, Matt. Who is it that does the rodeo in Sandstone, Matt? Who is it that does the rodeo up in Sandstone?
What?
Who does the rodeo up in Sandstone? It's-
Carlson's?
No, it's by the prison. I can see his face. He's a big beef farmer out there. On
Ernie
Anderson?
Swanson?
Oh,
No,
no, you're thinking, John,
yes.
10 o'clock.
Oh, it's 10. Okay, it's 10 o'clock, I've been told. So,
Doro, John Doro?
yes, thank you. We'll call the meeting to order, and just so everybody knows, JJ will be attending via technology and he is in Puerto Rico. And if you'd rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we are on public forum. There's nobody here. Is there anybody online, Ryan? Okay. So we are going to adopt the agenda and we have some additions.
Madam Chair, members of the board, there are two additions to the consent agenda. If we could add item 7.1, final payment on a highway contract to SNR reinforcing in the amount of $47,971.34. And if we could add consent agenda item number 7.2, promotion of full-time correction officer Parker to full-time sergeant.
Madam Chair, I'll move with amendment.
Thank you, Matt. Do we have a
I'll
second?
I can second.
Steve Beecha. So we have Matt and Steve. Are there any questions about anything on the consent agenda? All right, Debbie, if you do a roll call, please.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Hi.
District 3, Commissioner Lupgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes,
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Then we need to approve the minutes for the special meeting of the Committee of the Whole on February 27th and our regular March meeting on, March 5th. And then the summary for publication.
I'll move those.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thanks, Josh. Are there any questions about the minutes? Debbie, could you do a roll call, please?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lupgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
yes,
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Then we'll move on to minutes of the boards and committees and correspondence. We've got the 2024 presidential nomination primary election.
Ludwig will move.
Thanks, Matt.
I can second.
Thanks, Josh. Are there any questions on those minutes? Not, Debbie, can you do a roll call, please?
District 3, Chair Lundgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to approve the consent agenda or the consent items.
I can move the consent agenda.
Thanks, Josh.
I can second that.
Thank you, Steve. Are there any questions on the consent agenda?
I just had one quick observation. On the tax court stuff, for that Minnesota Energy
Yeah.
or whatever. So we're taking a $1.3 million hit on that? Is that what it was?
For 1 year.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Kelly Schroeder, County Auditor Treasurer. So yes, the valuation is being reduced by that amount,
Okay.
by the tax court, but that it doesn't equal tax dollars.
All right. Do you know roughly what it'll be?
I do not, we haven't gotten that far into the process yet.
Not a problem.
And the good news is for 2024, because they got it done early enough, we don't actually have to send a refund. We just can get their 2024 property tax statements correct.
So do we have to pay interest on what we send for 2023's taxes?
Yes, back to when they filed.
Yeah. Them have been kind of a lingering issue, haven't they?
It's in well, they do a couple years at a time, but yes.
And it's hard because the state's the one that puts the values on them.
And the state is who negotiates the new values, and so it's really out of our hands.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, we got a first by Josh, a second by Steve. Debbie, can you do the roll call, please?
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lundgren.
Aye.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to the regular agenda. We have the Personnel Committee report.
Want me to take it or? you?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so we did meet March 11th, made the following recommendations. The Sheriff's Office Jail acknowledge the resignation of Corrections Officer Matthew Yerke effective March 9th, and Correction Officer Gracie Peterson effective March 6th, 2024, and approve backfill of the positions. Any subsequent vacancies that may occur to internal promotion or lateral transfer. And then in the Highway Department, ratify the separation of highway maintenance worker Jamie Adamzak, effective February 12th, 2024, and recommend the approval of transfer of grade 7 highway mechanic Brandon Jensen to the open grade 6 highway maintenance position effective March 6, 2024. With no change in hourly wage, approve backfill of the grade 7 highway mechanic position and any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to an internal promotion or lateral transfer. In Health and Human Services, acknowledge the resignation of eligibility worker Adam Huska, effective February 14th, 2024, and approve the backfill of the position, any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. Approve the reclassify of 2 grade 2 office support specialists positions in the child support unit to grade 5 support enforcement aides based upon the work performed. The position was reviewed using the Springstead class and compensation model. In Health and Human Services, Public Health, authorize the hiring of a new case aide position in public health and approve backfill of the position. Any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. The position is a grade 5 with a minimum starting wage of $20.91 an hour, and authorize the hiring of new educator position in public health and approve the backfill of the position and any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. And in administration and recommend authorization
eligibility for Julie Mazer and Katie Beck to be eligible for the 2% 15-year performance pay effective January 1, 2022 or 2024 due to longevity. With that, I'll move the personnel committee report.
I will second.
Thanks, Josh and Matt. Are there any questions about the Personnel Committee?
I'll just give a little background to the rest of this. This is just the stuff we have to approve, but the health and human and the public health, both of them are going to be funded by grants and just grants, right? Yeah,
Two grants.
two grants.
Yep.
And the administration one with the 15-year performance pay in the sheriff's secretaries, they got out of the union, they separated from their union. So it left them in this kind of little hole there where this wasn't part of it. We do it with every other employee. They were the only one. So that's why we just had to do kind of a one-off with this. And then because they're non-union, they're just regular county on the county deal now. And I think that was the only little backstory on.
I can add, Madam Chair.
Yep, please, thank you.
On the two resignations, the first one was he was probationary and that was a voluntary resignation. And on the second one in B there, that he was probationary also, that decided to try part-time for a while to see if it would work. Still did not work better and then resigned. So
It takes a special person to do that job, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, any other questions for the Personnel Committee? Not, Debbie, would you do a roll call, please?
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the resolution for the state funds of Overstar Trail, and I see Mark up, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, so we got 900,000 of state funds for the Overstar Trail from Pine City to Rock Creek. We had 250,000 appropriated 10 years ago in 2014. And then Kelly did a great job with the bonding bill back in 2020. We had that bus tour, remember Kelly? And
Yeah.
put on a little performance, and I know David was probably there and maybe Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got 650,000 in 220 and in 2020. So a total of 900,000. There's 1.5 million in federal funds that we kind of secured last year. So 2.4 million of kind of outside funds to go towards the trail. We haven't pinned down the estimate, but you know, it's going to be under 3 million. And so any gap in there, we would fill in with our state aid construction dollars. So it's been, it's quite a project to try to put these things together, and our staff's done a great job. I'm proud of them, and we haven't crossed the finish line with our plans and some things. There's a process, a pretty tough process to get the environmental review stuff that's done. So I think we're sitting in pretty good shape to get our final plan submitted here in the next couple of weeks. And then, you know, it takes about 6 weeks to get the feds to approve everything. So we're probably looking at June for a bid opening. So, any other questions on that? Or?
Thanks.
I had a question.
Yep.
Madam Chair, if I can. Mark, then of course you get this thing built. I see we got something, we're gonna act on a letter for the maintenance of the trail up there around Finlayson. So this trail here gets built, and then, you know, and then like Commissioner Holland's mentioned in the past, where I can agree, you know, strings attached. Is this something that then we as the county are responsible for maintenance, upkeep, resurfacing, sealing?
Yeah.
Taking care of this then? Yeah, okay.
Something, you know, for last 30 years.
Like,
When trails kind of started to be a thing, when a lot of the railroads abandoned tracks back 30 years ago. And we brought that up over and over again. You can get federal money to build stuff, but at the time they didn't support maintenance. So it is, you're taking on, just like any road, really, you're taking on the maintenance of that for.
That was going to be my comparison. Thank you. Yeah.
DNR or the MnDOT, they're gonna give you a 25-page document of what you're required to do, you know, and that. So if you take the money, that's, you know, that's what you gotta do.
Madam Chair, so does DNR own the trail then? Or who owns the trail?
Let's, the one from Rock Creek to Pine City is a county trail.
Okay.
It's,
The other one we're talking about is a state-owned
Yeah.
DNR trail.
so these trails we've been building, they're, this area is Oberstar Trail, so it's gonna show up on a map, statewide map. Chisago County is building their trail up to Pine County to try to connect to Hinckley eventually. So it's considered Oberstar Trail, but this isn't, you know, it's in our right of way. The trail from Hinckley, North Munger Trail, that's DNR, easement or property, so
So can I
they
ask,
own it.
I ask a follow-up too? So if we do the gap between Hinckley and, is that gonna be a county trail too then, or could that be a
Yes.
DNR trail?
Anything that, the way things are now, you'll never see the DNR wanna take on a trail. They just,
So
they, you
then
know,
it's already.
they gotta deal with it. They don't wanna deal with it. They want the trail, but they don't wanna deal
Great.
with it. So, yeah, anything we do, I would assume in the future, it's gonna be our ownership.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
Kind of like Highway 61, when that got turned over, that was a state highway, now it's
Mhm.
county,
Mhm.
now it's already, but sometimes you get some money following it and stuff like that to help, right? Or,
Yeah, I mean, like, this all goes into our need system for when we get our state aid allotment each year. So, you know, we're getting, I don't, probably close to $9.5, $10 million of state aid to maintain our system. And that does include trails and things, you know, we can use funds on those trails to do that. And so,
So Madam Chair.
Say, Mark?
I'm just trying to learn, not trying to. put you on the
no,
spot.
this is
So
good
if
questions.
If we connect the trail that connects from Pine City to Hinckley,
Yep.
and it's on a county road. And does that become, can that just become part of the road then? So that.
Basically, yes.
You increase any revenue because there's more to maintain from the state? or
Yeah,
does-
there's, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
you know, the municipalities, they got sidewalks and they got, you know, curb and gutter, they got a lot of other things that ties into that too. So anything, I believe, there's some things that aren't counted in our needs, as they call it, but I could check on that. We can use money on repairing trails and things like that if it's in our right of way. Okay. But just to give you an idea, the bridge, the MnDOT bridge over County Road 7, we're obligated to do all this maintenance to that. We're obligated to pay portion of that you know, so
Yeah.
they don't, the state has basically, and I'm sure a lot of the other agencies here and you as a board would agree, they just push it down, you know,
Yeah.
you know, we're responsible for their systems in a lot of cases, so it's pretty similar to things like that.
Yeah, my question was, do we just get any more aid compared to just a regular? road?
I wouldn't count on that, but it is eligible.
JJ, you had a question?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I can. Mark, like for roads and stuff, I see you put the counters out there, traffic counters, rubber holes across the road. You still do that in Pine County, right? Try to get accounts, see
It does that for us, yeah.
the state does, okay. Do they do any kind of, you know, like feasibility study or needs or counts for a trail like this? To justify the expense?
We can take
So-
counts on the trail, but I wouldn't categorize it. I mean, the state of Minnesota has moved to, we have to incorporate pedestrian and bicycle traffic within our plans now. That's gotta be part of what we consider. That's just,
Right, and I hope you understand, if you don't take account on a trail, you don't have, I understand that, but just, you know, the gist of what I'm getting to,
is this,
people are now,
I
the
mean,
need, you know, and yeah, and what's the usage of these trails leading up to
Madam Chair.
Hadley?
Steve's going to answer your question.
I
Hey,
think
great, thank you.
part of it in the Northeast, Transportation Committee, the trails on the North Shore, they have now purchased it's a rideability bicycle from what I understand, and you can get that. And that's what they're using to justify the replacement.
Oh, the surface.
Resurfacing.
Yeah.
And so then they have counters on their trails and they do these rideability studies. So they know what trails need to be resurfaced when.
Yep. And as far as, so like the funds we secured for this, which should cover most of the project, are competitive. And so we have to convince someone at the state and federal level that this is a worthy project. So as far as, you know, that end of it, they're saying, yes, there's a need for this trail. Somebody is, you know, at some point at a higher level. So, you know, some people don't want trails. Some people don't want trails, but they're glad to use them. And some people want trails. You know, so I mean, it is a controversial thing in our business as far as, are we taking money from the road system and putting it on trails? There is some of that, but that's just the direction of our state. That's where they've gone. They want more people out walking and biking.
Well, right, and then the other thing is not being able to resurface and take care and maintain the trail system we have adequately. I mean, I know there's some safety concerns in segments of the other trails up north of Finlayson area. And then, you know, not being able to keep up with that, and the question of who's going to pay for it, how we're going to pay for it, and then now build more trails.
Yeah,
You know,
good point.
yeah, it's right. You know, it's like, okay, well, I would think if you can't keep track of and maintain and keep safe what we have, I just struggle with the idea of spending more money making more. We have ones that, and I'm not saying it's worn out because of the usage. It's just, you know, Mark, the weather, the freeze thaw cycle, everything else. You know, at least the good thing on the trail for the old railroad bed is you got a good base.
Yeah, that's the best place for them, and
Best place for them, right? That's why it's lasted so long.
Exhibit A is the portion of trail longer that goes into Sandstone and goes up to Banning Junction. That was federal funds back, I believe, in the early 90s. And the city agreed to do any future maintenance on that at that time, which you do what you need to do to get the project done. I think that was probably what was done at the time. Well, now, is the county gonna have to pay to repair that someday? That could be an issue because the city's not gonna be able to pay for that. And so here we have a trail that's probably hard to ride a bike on, you know, so those are
Yeah.
issues talked about for 20 years and they're coming to fruition now. And what's the answer? There has to be something from the state, I think, that is gonna help fund these things. I mean, it's a DNR trail. Shouldn't the DNR state pay for, you know, a resurface on that? You know, I think that's pretty logical, but it's not a priority, DNR, you know, so.
Well, then I guess this would be directed towards the, you know, fellow members of the board is, you know, just my thoughts is, what are our options as a board to, you know, approve a trail expansion and make more trails? Do we share that money? Or can we, Mark, maybe it's more towards you, can we use the new monies for a new trail that shifts some of that towards maintaining and repairing what we already have? I mean, that's the questions I'm getting.
Construction. So there's a lot of money out there for construction. I mean, not a lot. There's money out there. There isn't a pot of money for maintenance. We don't tax bikes and say we're gonna set this money aside for trails and type, you know, I mean, it just.
Sure.
There's no continual amount of money coming in for that. So you're going to, you know, bonding from the state or something probably for future resurfaces of these things. So.
Go ahead. Steve.
So we can't, there's no way, even as a board, if we couldn't divert any of these funds for this new trail towards maintenance and upkeep and taking care of, you know, what we already have. That's sort of the question. That's sort of can't be done.
The federal funds are for construction and these two state appropriations are, you know, I think, the legislative language is clear on the 650 that's for construction. The 250, you could maybe make an argument that we could, but we're 10 years out on that money. At some point, is anybody gonna even know it's there and how do you get it back? And, you're not gonna get it in 20 years from now, so we're we take the money now and put it towards a project, or we maybe never see that money, would be my guess, so.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, they're all valid points, JJ and the rest of the board. But
Thanks, Steve.
I think we have to remember that we've got two separate issues on the table here. One is for a resolution to build the trail from Rock Creek to Pine City. That's a county trail. We're responsible for that. We have secured federal and state dollars to build that. The other issue on the table is to support the building or surfacing of the Munger Trail, which is not a county trail. It's a DNR trail. And the DNR, in my opinion, has not planned ahead for maintenance. And so now when the MnDOT funding goes out for like the Gitchigami Trail along Lake Superior, they're part of the plan. If you're gonna take the money and rebuild 10 miles or build 10 miles of trail along the North Shore, you're gonna have a maintenance schedule. Just like we do if we build 10 miles of road, we have to know in 20 or 25 years, we gotta come back and resurface it. So I think our effort in the second letter of support for the Willard Munger Trail is to jumpstart the DNR into recognizing the fact that they have these assets out there and they have to take care of them.
Mhm.
We've got a separate trail that we want to build with county funds, and we'll take care of it.
So my question is, we know then that we have to get from Pine City to Hinckley with the Overstar Trail. I mean, it needs to continue so they can go to Duluth. If we build that and we go in we've talked about some really different places to put it so that it would be safe and not on a highway right away, that type of thing. How easy will that be to maintain?
Well, I think, things are changing and public's expectation is changing. And we are looking at, maybe some attachments for a tractor that we could blow snow off trails. Some of the cities have that type of equipment. So
Okay.
if we go down that route, yeah, we'll have to make some investment in some equipment. Or, they won't get plowed in the winter. I mean, those are probably decisions, maybe as a board level, you'll say, hey, this is what we're willing to put into this stuff. But yeah, it's, I mean, building a trail through Maroon and north, I mean,
It's pretty wet.
it's $1 million a mile to build it on regular property. Is it realistic? I don't want to be negative, but the state is fine with designating the 8-foot shoulder as trail.
Okay.
They're okay with that. So it's more about locally, how much separated trail can we afford in part, so I think it'll be a combination. But, when we build in a swamp, it's gonna be the same as a road. You're gonna get some failures and things like that, so.
Thank you. I've been
Yeah,
thinking-
at least bikes can still legally ride down the side of the road.
Yep. Well, and it's moving.
Cars and the tax. People contribute to it. Bicycles,
A lot of
there's
the
no fee to use a bicycle.
metro cities are actually, I mean, the bikes are becoming the priority. The roads are now being designed for bicycle use versus vehicles. So that is, there's no question that's going in that direction, at least in the urban area, so.
Yeah, right. Population and ridership is
Right now,
way different.
we have a designated trail and it's the shoulder of the road.
Mhm.
And so we're filling in those gaps, and how much of that will be off, that's, how much money is there gonna be, I guess is the question. And I won't be here and you guys probably won't, maybe Josh, I don't know. Josh, maybe he'll be here, but this is 10 years ago. I think Nathan Johnson, the city planner, applied for this $250,000 10 years ago, so here we are, And it doesn't necessarily take 10 years to do a project. It's just, you gotta tie the other money together somehow, and you gotta have, Commissioner Holland, he's been a big push on, we need, people want some trails, and so you gotta have that. He's behind me, pushing me, and I'm trying to hold him back, and he's done a great job on some of that stuff to get these things done. If you talk to other counties, the amount of trails that we're producing here is a lot, for a county, so.
I'm gonna speak for Steve on this one because I think I can, and if I can't, he'll correct me, but he speaks highly of you and what you do and how you are so on top of things and continue to get money for our county to do these projects or road projects or the bridge or, whatever it might be. So thank you to you for.
Well, it's a team effort, I mean, between David and Kelly and my staff and you as commissioners, to get money, it takes quite a few people to, and contacting our, we've got some connected legislators now and things, so.
Well, he says you have a great voice in some of these meetings that bring us some benefits. So thank you.
Well, he's done well
Yeah.
for things like this and for bridges to get the federal, because he's got projects ready to go. He's got a staff that can get projects. And when federal money becomes available and we're gonna build a bridge on County Road 2 anyway, if you're there and the district engineer recognizes and says, hey, Mark, is that project ready to go? And he says, yes, it could be. We get how many $1 million?
We got 1.8 million for the 2 bridge, we got this 1.5 million. We've got, another 1.6 million to finish 61 from Rutledge down to Trunk Highway 18. So this is probably the biggest year we've had as far as federal projects, and you would not believe what goes into getting these, approved, so there's a lot of pre-planning. We can't, we're out there in the winter cutting trees because you can't cut trees in certain times of year now, because of the bats. Our bridge we can't be in the water from April 1 till July 1st, so how do you build a bridge in Minnesota? Well, you gotta start doing them in the winter, and so we're trying to adapt, we're trying to teach, old dogs new tricks here, but this has been, I'm really proud of my staff for what, we're pretty limited in the number of people, but when you have people that are experienced, most of my staff, if you had, it'd take 2 people to replace them, so, they won't be around here forever, but they've got a lot of experience. They've stayed here and so that's why we're able to do some of this stuff. So.
Well, thank you. Does anybody else have any? Go ahead.
Thank you,
Steve.
Mark.
I was just gonna make a motion for the
Oh.
resolution.
Back to the
Alright.
business here.
Resolution for 2024-15.
Yep.
Right.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Josh. Are there any more questions for Mark or?
And one of the other things we do have to think about as a board is this county is rather large. The north end of the county has a lot of trails.
Yeah.
Steve has been working hard to try to get at least some on the southern end connected, and or something going, cause what do we have here now? Like 1-2 miles of trail versus once you get north of Hinckley, they go a lot of other different directions.
Yeah, there's
Now, I realize them were put a long time ago. There was good reason to have all them.
But yeah, no, like the part that went through Sandstone to Banning, that was Mayor,
City.
what was his name? But the city, the mayor,
Atterbury? Randy?
no, it was,
Before
For
Atterbury?
him?
I think they used a power company easement, didn't they?
come on, name some,
What's that?
Carl stuff.
The mayor.
oh,
of
no, it
Sandstone.
was,
Oh, the old
Or
man?
Atterbury,
Atterbury.
no.
before
no.
him.
No.
Aqua?
Jockala.
Oh,
So
that was a
They-
bit ago.
they pushed hard because, they thought, it's gonna bring in some tourists and it made sense, so there was somebody pushing for that. That wouldn't have happened, and so that's what it takes, because some of us government workers would rather not have to do some of these challenging projects if we don't have, So someone's gotta be pushing us, they gotta be pushing the public, they gotta be pushing the people funding it, that just has to happen for it to be a priority. So Steve's done that. I know there's other incidents on other projects, you know. We got projects all over the county and we'll push for projects wherever, we can get the funds for and, you know, we want, I love Pine County, I love the whole county, so, we want to do projects everywhere we can.
Thank you. Any other
Thanks, Mark.
remarks?
Thank you, Mark.
Motion by Steve and a second by Josh. Debbie, can you do a roll call, please?
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes,
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to the second part of that conversation we just had is the letter of support for the Willard Munger Trail reconditioning.
Madam Chair, members.
I make the motion.
Oh, we're gonna have the presentation first.
Gotcha.
Will be brief, it's self-explanatory. We received
Yeah.
a request from Dave Ocker,
Octor.
who is a part of this Friends of the Munger South group and also the mayor of Finlayson, requesting a letter of support for state funds to resurface or recondition the trail from Hinckley north for 13 miles.
I will say, being at the very beginning of that trail, during the summer, it's just packed with people walking and bike riding. And in the winter, the snowmobile trailers that, you know, it gets used a lot. Do you experience the same thing up north, JJ?
JJ. was-
Yeah. It's, it brings in quite a few people and there's some safety concerns too. That, you know, I've seen, I don't use it often, but when I do, I don't want anybody hurt out there.
Right. Yep.
Did he move it, Matt?
So JJ, you made a motion?
Yeah, I did jump the gun a bit, but I didn't want to miss, yes, I make a motion for the letter, write the letter, draft the letter.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
So we have a motion by JJ and a second by Matt. Are there any other questions or concerns?
And if approved, we would send basically the same letter to Senator Rarick, Representative Nelson, and Representative Dotseth.
Right.
All right, Debbie.
It's a nudge. It's a nudge letter.
Yeah. You do.
Gentle nudge.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Chair Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes,
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Commissioner Holland.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next, we have contracts, agreements, and grants. Do we have somebody that wanted to talk about these? Or not? Okay, so we have an agreement with Kennebunk County Family Services for the provisions of mental health, medication management services. Right here, 7.
Aren't those on the consent?
Oh, sorry, flipped on the wrong page. Okay. It's Commissioner updates. Sorry,
Oh, that was good.
okay.
flipped that page wrong, I'm thinking. Okay, so Commissioner updates. Thank you. We have, God, I'm really messed up. USDA Connect through NACO. So listening to that, there's a lot of money through NACO for this. And that had all my notes on it. I gotta find it. Bear with me for a second, you guys, sorry. And it's not gonna happen. What did I do with that? So anyways, there, but it can be done through corporations or limited corporations, but the information that goes with that is pretty intense. And so I don't know. I think it's hard for there we go. I think it's hard for our representatives to be able to do that. Like SCI Cable or East Central Energy. But it will be interesting to find out if they do. And I was talking to a commissioner from down south, and they actually use some of the funds from the federal government working with the state and getting some broadband, which is something that our county's not doing, but if to have our companies that are actually doing it would be great. And on that note, we have SCI won the border to border, the last grant that went through, which is going to be covering Barry, Finlayson, Hinckley, Kettle River, Norman, Partridge, Pine Lake, Sturgeon Lake, and Rutledge to 1,069 locations. So that's going to be coming up. Their initial speeds, what I was looking at is 1 gigabyte up and down, which is going to be way better than the 2.5 that I had the other night going down. So I got to sit and watch the little circle of death go round and round and round while I was trying to do something. So there's some good money coming through and it'll be good to see what happens. And it's just for rural communities. It's $150 million that are available. So yeah. Soil and Water Conservation District.
Yeah, I guess during a public forum, I use this opportunity, if Mark is still there, maybe this
Yes,
kind
yep.
of go towards him too. Okay, we talked a little bit about the culvert situation, Sturgeon Lake, where the water outlet is right around the corner from the new Parker's Sandbar, the old Red Hook Inn. Just that there seems to be that growth in there, that vegetation is on some private land, and really that is causing the the water to stay high on the lake, which causes a lot of the erosion issues, which then the Soil and Water works with cost share to fix the problems of the shoreline. And I just talking with the the landowners up there, people up there, concerned citizens, we're almost thinking, well, if we could just get these entities together, the Soil and Water possibly could use their influence and their expertise with Bowser and such to talk to the landowners that have that vegetation there, Mark. And that's where when Aaron Gunderson was up and met with us, from what I understand, and people along the shoreline there, the county can dig out the shoulder of the road, but the water still got to go somewhere. And that's where a landowner, we have to get the easements and deal with it. So I was hopeful, maybe Mark, get some conversation going with Soil and Water and see, if it's a money issue and the easement has to be bought, maybe there's monies available with the Soil and Water, help of an engineer. If we're paying to fix the shorelines, the taxpayers, and we don't try to figure out why the shorelines keep getting eroded because of the high water, why can't some of that water get funneled through that property, use some monies if that's what it takes? Instead of paying for fixing the shoreline, maybe that's what it takes. Write a check to buy an easement, so to speak. That sound like anything, Mark?
Well, yeah,
Able to work?
it's quite a drainage system. There's a lot of township road crossings that can get plugged up. I think a permanent easement is a good idea if, like you say, who's the controlling entity? Probably the township maybe would be the local unit of government. You could make it a county ditch, and
Well,
the benefiting parties would pay for those costs. I mean, I'm not advocating for that, but I think, county ditches are looked at agricultural, but I don't think there's anything that would say you couldn't do something like that, and everybody that lives on the lake benefits and they pay, so I think, we got.
yeah, because they're paying for shorelines now out of the funds and cost share and all that.
I think
if it lowers the cost of that, I think it's worth
Yeah.
the effort.
I think the funding of easement and maintenance of it is maybe the least of it. It's more of who would purchase the easement, and that's got to be a local unit of government, I would say. So I would prefer it not be the county, but I think Windermere Township would be, how much tax base do they get from the lake? More than all the other townships probably combined besides Pokegama, so.
Sure.
That would be my recommendation, is try to maybe get the township to get on board with that.
Madam Chair.
Sure, thank you. We spoke about that, and then I'm sorry, Matt.
I went to that meeting for you when that engineer presented last winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the biggest problem is coming out of Island, isn't it? Island Lake? That ditch, and then it has to, but they engineered the guy had 3 plans that did that. I don't know if they sent you a copy of that or not, but one of them was.
Yep.
Pipeline, then a sediment pool, and then a pump that ends up in the Pine River. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, if you look at the topography there, the whole thing is wet, all the way through to behind Hogan's Acres and all the way through to them, what is it, Passenger Lake and all those.
Yeah, Passenger Lake, there you go.
It's just the way nature set that up there and then people moved in there.
Yeah, it would, to do any of those types of projects, you really have to have either the lake association or the township that would be ownership of that system, whether
Yeah.
it pumps, and on top of, engineers have these ideas, but the reality is, the DNR really controls movement of water and the
Oh.
pumping, and then you got the, all the weeds and the snails or whatever you want to call them, the mussels, I'd call them weeds and
Yeah.
snails, they call them mussels and whatever,
That's it, everything.
How
they
do you
do-
prevent that from spray,
Exactly.
so it gets very complicated, but I think it would really have to be a local unit of government. I don't think we've got anything else in the county that would be comparable to that, we could say, we could do this model. I think it's gotta be from the people that benefit, really is gonna be the lake
Yeah,
owner.
sometimes you have no problems for years, then all of a sudden you get.
Yeah.
Wet years. in a
About 30
row.
years up there, every 30 years, there's concerns and, I assume the water's down now, but,
Yeah, it's real low.
Yeah.
it'll go back up again eventually.
That's a tough one.
Thank you.
JJ?
Yeah, so we talked about that, and then the staff there is looking at utilizing QR codes technology to bring people to YouTube videos showcasing stuff they have going on with the Soil and Water District. They're currently working on the Arbor Day event, Sandstone Library, that'll be May 18th. They discussed the Island Lake grants, wetland restoration projects, shoreland projects, and I have a copy of the minutes if anybody wants to see the minutes there at the board level, or they can always log into Pine County's website for any more information. But that's about it. Everything else seemed business as usual there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Central Minnesota Jobs and Training, there is an artificial intelligence event that's coming on May 17th from 9 to 11. It's open to anybody. It's going to be done through a gentleman that works in colleges, but he's going to make it so that it's for anybody. And it was interesting sitting in the meeting because we all were able to ask him questions and kind of push the direction that we wanted the information to go. So it should be a good. So if you're interested, May 17th, 9 to 11, it'll be Zoom. Let me know and I'll make sure you have the Zoom information on that. Then also, they're looking for a board member for the Workforce Development Board. It was Becky Laurie, who I believe had done it for years, but now that she sold her business to her sons, she's not eligible to be on it anymore. So Josh did give a name. And they're going to be checking with that. And, but if anybody else has any names, if you want to let me know their name and contact information, we can get that to the board. And it's up to them to call them and ask them if they're interested and kind of find out what they would give to the group if they joined, and then they'll determine who it is that's going to come on and send it out to everybody for approval.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, could you send me something, email or something regarding that?
The person? Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, and then what they're looking for type of person, qualifications and such. Thank you.
Sounds good. The other thing is that we had elections for the new chair, vice chair, and secretary. The ones that had been doing it for a long time. So I'm the new secretary, which means that I'm on the executive board, which means that we get firsthand information, which I always appreciate. So that'll be good. Shaq, they're looking at doing the transformation for public health. COVID they haven't done it for a long time, and COVID really threw a ringer into what public health really is and what it stands for and what it should be doing. So they're saying that the transformation will be time, it's going to take time. It can't happen right away. And if we wait until it's done right, then it'll be done right instead of just throwing things in there. So we had a Dr. Halkino Tura, he works for the Department of Health, and he came and talked about it. The comments that he made were, if we care a little bit more, we can do more to help someone, which is his goal, to help someone smile is a huge desire of his. And then how we can do this, making it easier for the next person with a human side. So our employees, for them to be able to do their job on a human side and just show the compassion that our residents need. So that was pretty much Shaq. East Central Solid Waste.
Okay, we had a meeting last Monday. The highlights are we raised the tipping fee 3.2%, and that's based on several years ago, we went to following the consumer price index. So instead of waiting 10 years and then raising it 15%, we whatever the consumer price index, and we use the same month, the same data. And so it's higher than it's been, but so has inflation been higher. So 3.2%, and that means that when you go, when a hauler comes in and pays a tipping fee, their tipping fee is going to go up 3.2%.
So it's going up 3.2% or
Yes.
2.3? Okay.
Uh,
Do you know what it is now?
$58 a ton
Okay.
or something like that. And then if they're under contract, then they get a $14 instant rebate a ton. They haven't paid their bill, then they don't get the rebate.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
keeps everybody on track, kind of. One of our biggest haulers is Waste Management, and of course, they own landfills all over the world. And they are always the one that they don't balk at the rate. They balk at signing the contract that says there's some stipulations of when we're open and all that stuff. And they always drag their feet signing the contract.
Then they don't get the rebate.
Yes, and they didn't get the rebate for January
Oh.
because they hadn't signed the contract. Well, in February, they signed it.
I have a lot of trucks.
But the other issue we have is, we have to get a new permit. We've been talking about this for umpteen months, for our expansion, because we have to open a new cell. Of course, there's been retirements, there's new people working at Pollution Control Agency. Now at the last minute, a new guy says, oh, you're gonna have to look at this differently. We're not into issuing a 10-year permit anymore. We'd like you to look at a 30 or 40-year permit. Well, that changes the whole scope of stuff. So the engineering firm that's been they've done our last 2 permits. They do them for just about every landfill in the state of Minnesota, is scratching their head.
Mhm.
We're not prepared for, we're trying to meet this construction season. We were hoping to be out to bid by the 1st of April. And it's kind of throwing a monkey wrench in the whole thing. So
That doesn't sound fun at all.
no, so we're hoping we can have a conversation, the engineering firm and our leadership can have a sit down conversation with the people at PCA and say, hey, change it next time, but not in the middle of our application.
Right.
So,
Good luck with that.
yeah, I hope it works. Anyway, that's about it.
That's it? Okay. East Central Regional Library, a big part of our meeting was we have to do strategic planning because the state requires it every 3 to 5 years. So I have to say that it was really a blessing to be here for our strategic planning because it was really good, I believe. And so to be able to take that back to the library and talk about who we're going to hire and what our expectations are. But we will be going forward with that this summer. We did pick, we had anybody from $10,000 to $35,000 was the pricing. And when we all looked at it, was we all came back with the same opinion that the one for $10,000 is actually the best. But we did ask for her to do more things than what she had initially planned to do. So we will go up to $15,000 to do with that. And that's paid for with the legacy fund. So it comes from the state to pay that. But that was the majority of our meeting. Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails Legislative Days. Did you make that, Steve, at all?
No.
And I went to join them, but they were done by the time I got done with my other meeting. But I did contact them about getting some money for some parks and trails in Pine County. And she said that really the Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails is only if it is a park, like a county park or a county trail. But the ones that we have won't, we talked specifically about Munger and that would not qualify for that. So, but she was going to talk to the Department of Transportation at Legislative Day to see if we could move forward with some of that. So maybe, we'll see if that helps at all. Kettle River. One
Yeah,
water.
thanks, Madam Chair.
Mhm.
We had our meeting on March 14th. And pretty much the whole purpose of the meeting was to go over the 60-day period comments and responses that came in from Bowser, the DNR and all and the county public hearings that happened. It was pretty smooth. Most of the stuff was language and just cleanup stuff in the comments, just the way, because there's a lot of writing in those plans, and just the way DNR had minimal comments. Bowser just had cleanup comments. And then the process was like, how do you want to do this? So, because we had our public hearings already, we don't need to see this plan again really, because we commented already on it. So then, but it has to go to all the SWCDs and they also have to approve the plan. Then it can go to Bowser for the final. So, we just made a motion that after the Carlton County SWCD, Pine County, which we already did, and then now Pine County SWCD sees it, and then only Knabec SWCD sees it. So those SWCDs will all see the plan, and once they make their approval, it's not coming back to us. The motion it's going right to Bowser. So we don't get bogged down for another
Right.
thing. So,
Yeah.
Nice to see
so
that. moving
that's
forward.
pretty much it. I guess Carlton probably had the best comment that I thought was Carlton County said to add permitting issues to the plan, which we did, which they did. And then, at 5 years, look at the plan again and make your adjustments, so you just have that room in it. Cause it's kind of a living document moving around. You can move money
Mhm.
and stuff like that inside the plan to meet projects. So it was a good meeting. It's always a good meeting with those watersheds, I think, or we get along pretty good up there. Yeah. So anyway, that was pretty much it. So
Good.
if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
It's nice to see that moving forward so fast. Chemical Health Coalition was just a really good meeting. We had Wellness in the Woods came, which is based out of Mora, I believe. But I got to know Wellness in the Woods because they come to our Family Resource Center and talk about helping, they're just there to help anybody who needs help, and they're a great service. Their employees that work there have been through chemical issues or drug issues. They've probably been in jail. So they can really touch the people that are dealing with those situations, which is amazing. And so right now they are coming to, I want to say it's 9 different counties, or working with 9 different counties, but they come to Pine County. And the first week that they were here, they worked with 8 of our inmates. And then the next time I want to say they worked with 4 people the following week. And then they were scheduled to meet with 3 people last week with peer support services. And what they do is they'll go meet with them in our jails, and then they'll support them in the jail, help them to do rehabilitation and figure out services that they're good for, that type of thing. But they work with them once they're out of our jails too, which is what we need. And part of our money that we had talked about, or part of the plan that we talked about with our strategic planning, is that we really want to help our inmates so that they don't get out of jail and fall back into doing the alcohol or drugs or whatever it is that they've been doing. And so we will be coming to you, the Chemical Coalition will be coming to you for an ask to use some of our opioid money to hire Wellness in the Woods to come. And it's $1,000 per month. It can only be funded, I believe, through our opioid lawsuit settlement money, but it's such a good cause to be able to help our people from falling back into their bad habits. So that was just a really good presentation that they did. The other thing that they talked about is yoga. It's the Youth Opportunity Grant application. We had talked about that last time a little bit about what they're doing, but an update on that. So far to date, they have submitted about $8,000 in grants to the kids in our schools. So out of $50,000 so far, they've done $8,000. Many of them are from the Hinkley Finlayson School District, and they're hoping that they can get some of the other school districts to apply, but they've done everything from buying uniforms for youth programs. I want to say it was youth football. They have, 29 applications for the grant have been submitted. It's on here somewhere, but I can't find it, but they've just done some really good programs. They've done they've helped finance some kids to go up to what's the name of that place? My kids went there. Way up north in
It's an environmental
Wolf
learning.
Ridge?
center.
Wolf Ridge, thank you. So they've helped pay for some of the kids to go to Wolf Ridge. They've helped some to do different youth activities. They have a cap on it right now that I want to say was $300 per person. If you have a whole group of people that apply for it, it could be more than that. But that's where it is. It's about $3,000 per person. They're doing some really good things, which is good to see. Next we have Lakes and Pines.
That meeting got moved to this coming Monday.
Okay. Does anybody have any others?
I have another comment.
Okay,
I am not gonna be able to make the Arrowhead Counties Association meeting tomorrow night. Or no, it might be next one. No, it's tomorrow night.
okay.
So if somebody wants to go, I can send you the stuff, but it's all in my timing when I get back from Duluth.
It's letter D on the list.
Yeah, it's March 20th at 6 at the Hampton Inn in Canal Park. Okay.
I got just one thing.
Yep.
And that's the County Road 9 bridge, because it's so visible and work has progressed throughout the winter. And last week, they delivered the beams, 136-foot long beams. And somebody was quick enough on the draw to take out their cell phone and record of the trucks turning around. They backed 3 miles. They turned around and backed up so they could get the beams lifted off. One truck hauled one beam, and I think they had 6 or 7 beams. So it was quite a spectacle for everybody to watch.
One that she caught, it was pretty impressive too, because they
Yeah.
did it during the night or during the early morning, I think it was. And so for her to be able to catch it was.
But it looks like work is progressing. I wouldn't be so bold as to say they're gonna finish ahead of schedule, but they're progressing. I don't think that we'll be behind schedule. So the people that live on the other side of the bridge are anxiously awaiting the
Oh, man.
day.
I do have another also. Deed did a celebration for 10 years of broadband. So they had a huge event. It was from like 9 in the morning till 4:30 at night, which was a very long time to sit on your Zoom, but I did. And just listening, we had county representation, but the one that I was excited about was Leslie was asked to speak by the Blandon Association. And so she was able to present Pine County and what we went through. She did just an amazing job. It was, but to think about, Deed has been working on broadband for 10 years that they've been on this path. And you look at how far we've come just in the last 4 years for Pine County. We've gotten a lot and we're getting the grants to do more. And we've got servicing that, people that want to service us, which we never had before. So just so grateful to them and to the grants that they're giving to people so that they can do that. And thank you again, Leslie, for representing Pine County so well. Are there any others? All right, we will adjourn the meeting until 1 o'clock. We're going to recess the meeting until 1 o'clock, where we're going to reconvene to talk about the road in Arna Township. So do I need to read that? Okay, we're good. Thanks, everybody.
Beautiful one.
You know what I did? I took it out.